Thank you for joining us for the weekend recap, maybe a whole week's worth of recap. Along with Nathan Scott, I'm Tom Brannon. Normally you would see Rebecca or Journey, but we're the only two left in the building right now because of the snowstorm. And we're going to talk a lot about that here this week, kind of give you what we had in the forecast, what fell, go over some great totals. It's all about weather this week.
That was the headline.
Yeah.
The headline was weather. First it was severe weather down into South and Southeast Arkansas on Sunday, and we just really flipped the script quickly on that, and we had this big snowstorm. We knew it was going to be heavy snowfall, but a foot of snow and more than that in some locations.
I do want to go back just a little bit because I know that you see a lot of stuff out there. We knew that there was something that could occur.
Yeah.
Our main focus is really on what's going to be happening 3 to 4 days in advance. And well, there was some conversation about, we had severe weather in Arkansas. We had tornado warnings on Sunday. So you almost lose that side of that, but that's why we didn't talk a lot about this.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure you were covered in the severe weather department, and you worked Sunday. You came back.
I worked Sunday.
You were on vacation, came back, and look what happens.
I'm just like, what did happen? Come back from vacation from Maryland, and then all of a sudden, bam, severe weather, bam, snowstorm. I wanted snow when I was in Maryland. I left there. They get a snowstorm a few days after I left.
And it came back here.
And it came boomerang effect.
Within a couple of days. And it's been a very active weather pattern, too. You know, sometimes you will get severe weather ahead of a strong storm system with cold air. And it's, the difference in those two air masses, along with some winds aloft, that bring the severe weather. So we've had a flip of the script. We're looking at colder temperatures coming in, and this has to line up just right. Was it the most perfect snow forecast for the whole state to get snow? It appeared that way, and then it got a little warmer in certain levels of the atmosphere.
Which we were concerned about.
We were.
I mean, if you were watching the streams, I always pointed out, Southeast Arkansas, freezing rain, potential of sleet, potential of maybe an all-rain event. I called out Ashley, Chico County, said it right around the Arklamis area. That came to fruition, and that's just because the models that we looked at downplayed how much warm air would sneak its way in. And usually models have a difficult time. That warm air is very sneaky, and I posted about that on Facebook as well.
I was really surprised at how consistent the models were a long way out in projecting that we would have something here at Arkansas.
Yeah.
And they were kicking back some big totals.
They were.
And we had some big totals, but let's start from the beginning, and we're just really going to talk about snow and the snow forecasting aspect of it. This was the last snow forecast that we put out before the storm really moved in and began to pile up. We try to keep it 1 or 2 or 3. We don't want to change every few hours because there's so much information coming at you. But that is fairly accurate with what I'm going to show you here in just a moment.
Yeah, we looked at the models. Some were flipping back and forth, bouncing the higher total in Southeast Arkansas that one time, and then all of a sudden the next run it shifted it back to the Northwest, and you're like, okay, is this just a bouncing ball back and forth, or is this a trend? There's a lot of information we really look at. I mean, we were looking at tons of data, trying to figure out how this whole puzzle is going to come together. But overall, I'm happy with the forecast. We got a heavy snow. It was impactful. A few inches missed here and there. It's not a big deal. I don't think there's a huge difference between 8 inches of snow versus 10 or 11 inches of snow when it comes to impacts.
Yeah, and we call these models by name. We've got the high resolution model, the HER. We've got the Euro, the GFS, and to have those two models in agreement that far out.
Yeah.
And even following to the day of, they were in fair. The timing was a little off on a couple of them, but I got to say the big winner here was the NAM, of which we kind of thought was a little nutty at times, but it did put a large chunk of snow.
It had a swath of seeing potentially over a foot, and a lot of people, including us, were like, "Whoa, that's a little too high."
Yeah, what's going on here?
And again, that was the one that was the outlier that put the bullseye in Southeast Arkansas just 24 hours ago, and now you're saying, oh, it's going to be a huge bullseye over Northwest Arkansas. Your mind thinks, is that right? and you have to be cautious. We can't just go out on a limb and be like, we're just going to do this, because if it doesn't turn out right, then we have what to pay for from the viewers, and we don't want that. So we're going to play it more cautious. We're going to look at more data and adjust as needed. We're not going to make these jumps and say heavy snow coming 3 days out.
Yeah.
Because for professional meteorologists, that's just kind of foolish.
Yeah.
You lose trust, you lose confidence with people if it doesn't verify and you throw it out there 3 days out.
Yeah, we want to be as responsible as we possibly can. And, there were twists and turns along the way, even up to the day of. It's like, why is this one doing this and this one doing that? And, oh my goodness, what about this surge of warmth over southern Arkansas, where it looked like, in our original, it was a trace to 2 inches of snow. And those counties picked up more freezing rain.
Yep.
And the snow line really was a little farther to the north. All right, so you remember this. This is our snow forecast. This is the snow that actually fell. There it goes. Okay. And it's very consistent.
Yeah. No huge changes. I mean, other than this area that was in the core of a foot or more took up more real estate, pushed its way into Saline County, Perry County, also Pulaski County, and then it expanded more to the north into Searcy County, the Ozarks, and even the totals had to be adjusted into North Arkansas. And that's just because this warm air, as it was just surging its way in from the south, yes, it was bringing warm air for southeast and south Arkansas, but that was forcing the air, once it got past that warm bubble, to be lifted and produce those heavier bands of snow. We saw bands of snow 1 inch per hour, maybe more than that in some of the locations. That added up very quickly. And also that first band of snow that came through with the onset of the storm.
Right.
I don't think that was expected. Usually you go from a light snowfall to a moderate snowfall, but that one band, it put down over 5 inches in Mena within a short amount of time.
And I remember that. So, and there was more to come. This was the afternoon, or the morning and the afternoon, evening, and then we had that next area come through. And we kept seeing the same thing in southern Arkansas. We're going to talk about this because we're very sorry that you didn't get any snow. But as the model forecasting went along and what was happening data-wise here, it just looked like it was going to be more liquid and wet.
I think, the National Weather Service probably should have dropped those winter storm warnings a little sooner. But, they didn't want to make that guess and be like, we're going to pull back and say it's going to be all rain, and then, bam, you got freezing rain, because there's such a minute difference. It's only 32 degrees or 33 degrees when it comes to rain or an ice storm type situation. That's very, very difficult, challenging forecast to figure out.
And all in all, I think most of Arkansas is very happy. We'll show you some photos in just a moment, but people get out, they're in a good mood. It's toward the end of the week. You get a snow day Friday. You get a lot of snow to play with and drive in. That's something we don't like. But, in terms of numbers for the Little Rock area, the most snow in January since 1988.
Yeah.
Here for Little Rock.
9 inches of snow. That's impressive.
And I do remember this one in 1988. I remember that
over
one quite
13
vividly.
and a half.
That was,
It's the most snow since February 17th, 2021, when we had over 11 inches of snow. So we don't get these big snowstorms typically in Arkansas, but we've had a few of them since I've been here. I've been here for almost 7 years now, and this is definitely going to be one to go in the record books.
Sure thing. Real quick note about 1988. I was young then. I really was. I was actually working
I was
working in a nightclub, heading home. I was a disc jockey once, so I have a radio background. So driving home late at night, and this fine misty snow started to fall. Exactly what you were describing a few minutes ago. Starts out light and then it picks up. Okay, got home great, but the next day woke up and there it was, the blanket of about a foot of snow on the ground with not the big fat wet snowflakes, but with those smaller, medium-sized flakes, it was very cold and dry. It was a drier snow.
Just brush it off.
Yeah, you could just brush it off. With this, you go outside and you sink. So there's a couple of little facts for you. Snow amounts. Let you start here with the highest around the state. Who's the big winner, Nathan?
The big winner is Mina, and we had somebody actually post on my Facebook page or our Facebook page that showed 17 inches.
Oh, wow.
Now,
okay.
I mean, that's proof. We'll send it to the National Weather Service. Might have to adjust that number from 14 to 17. But Briggsville, Yell County, 14 inches, 13 inches, Nashville, Lake Hamilton, Potter Junction. So it was the Ouachitas, and we had the Ouachitas under the best chance of seeing potentially a foot of snow.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. I mean, and I probably feel the same way. Would you rather put out a snow forecast like we did with, 5 to 9, probably going to see more than 9, or would you rather stick one out that's a foot to a foot and a half and you only get 6 inches? I mean, 6 inches of snow is still a lot.
Yeah.
But
there's a huge difference between
there is
6 inches of snow versus a foot of snow, especially when it comes to driving. 6 inches of snow, you can get away with maybe in a Honda Civic or something like that if you're good. If you're a good driver.
You're not going to get away with that in a foot of snowfall.
But yeah, no. You're done. You're stuck. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, only your those big vehicles, your Passports of the world, Highlanders, those machines that are all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
There's another part of this, Central Arkansas. We had a 5 to 9 inch line, and a lot of locations here in Central Arkansas got close to that 9 inch, and even a few just to the west of Little Rock, Perryville and Perry County.
And Tom, when we think about making snowfall forecasts, we're talking about a 1/10 of an inch of rain. And we don't talk about that during the summer. Like, it doesn't make a difference. A 1/10 of an inch of rain, 1/4 inch of rain here, 1/2 inch of rain, no big deal. But when it comes down to snow, that's 1 inch of snow, 3 inches of snow, 5 inches of snow, because 1 inch of liquid equals 10 inches of snow typically. With a wetter snowfall, those numbers are lower. It could be 1 inch of snow equals maybe 8 or 9, or 1 inch of rain equals 8 or 9 inches of snow. And then when you have really cold temperatures in place, you can have 1 inch of rain equals 15, maybe 20 inches of snow.
And that was kind of the case back in 2021.
Yeah.
We were seeing extremely high ratios.
Very much Arctic air was in place.
Before we move on to the next information graphic, let's go to Storm Track 11, because the National Weather Service has a nifty website that we can see where all the snow fell across Arkansas, where the reports are located. This is a big storm.
And anybody can look this up. All you have to do, I would just Google snow amounts or snowfall NWS, and it should pop up. But what you're looking at is all the different snowfall reports, color coordinated to show who had the most amount of snow. And it's Oklahoma and us here in the natural state. When I zoom in, here come the numbers. And there you see 11, 12, 10 through the Ouachitas, quite a bit of 8, 9, 10 showing up around central Arkansas. Then you get down to the south, right where that transition line was, with the sleet, freezing rain changing over to snow just to the north, and Arkadelphia reporting 4 inches of snow, Sheridan reporting 4 inches of snow, and Pine Bluff, which we said was going to be a very tough call, only a 1/2 inch of snow, and then no snowfall down to the south.
And when I look at this map, it lines up quite well with where that warm nose appeared and cut off any chance of snow. That's those southern 2 to 3 rows of counties in southeast Arkansas. You got 5.5 inches of snow in East Arkansas. The snow picked up again in Mississippi. In Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, I think I saw an 8-inch snowfall in that area. But Arkansas had a good snowstorm out of this. This was a big storm. One of the other things earlier in the week, we were looking at Dallas. The models were kind of going back and forth. They could get some, they could get none at all.
Yeah. Some models were saying they were going to get ripped off. Downtown Dallas didn't see much, but just on the outskirts and the suburbs, different story. 2, 3, 4 inches of snow, and then you get into the border of Texas and Oklahoma, and they saw 7, 8 inches of snow. And that snow field went all the way into Tennessee. So these are just the reports over the past 24 hours. Mississippi, Alabama got snow, and also Atlanta. And I don't think they were really expecting it in Atlanta, but the situation that they have there, it's a very unique situation. The mountains, the southern Appalachians, act like a dam. And when you have high pressure over Ohio, Pennsylvania, that cold air, it's heavier, and it will sink its way all the way down the spine of the Appalachians, and sometimes it'll make it all the way to Atlanta. So it could be totally different in this part of the state versus once you get across the Appalachians into northwest Georgia.
And there you go. And I'm sure that their forecast modeling was not picking up on this. Now, keep in mind, models are run by or spit out by computers, but somebody's got to put that data in, and that's the human element right there. And you learn from that.
Models are guidance. They're not perfect, and they're going to burn you if you always go with a model. So we'll show you all the different models we looked at prior to this storm. There was the HRRR. And it did a good job painting out where there's going to be significant to heavy snowfall over the Ouachitas. Even North Arkansas did a pretty good job. Monticello, not so much, 1.6. Went too high down to the southeast Arkansas. But overall, not too bad. Snow total is just a little bit low. Then our in-house model, the graph, way off Arkadelphia. It had the core right along Interstate 30, so it had it too far down to the southeast. It didn't play that warm air enough into Jefferson County, Arkansas County, because this is showing the potential of 6 to 8 inches. Did not happen, of course. And then Mountain Home, 3.6, that was way too low. There's the NAM, and we were talking about.
And the thing that got me with the NAM, not necessarily as much as the 14 it was projecting in Clinton, Russellville, and Searcy. It's the placement of where it felt like the heaviest snowfall was going to occur. That's pretty close.
Yeah, it did pretty good. Again, Arkadelphia, not the best. But there was a huge difference in North Clark County versus South Clark County. I was looking at some observations. Southern parts of Pike County, 5-6 inches. Northern parts of Pike County, you're getting close to a foot. And that's just because where there's heavy bands of snow set up. This is the European. It, I think, did not do well. I mean, 6.4 Monticello. So if you were going with the European because you're like, oh, it's the European, this is a great model. No, it was not good. 8 in Pine Bluff, 9 in Arkadelphia, and that just could have done a little bit better. And the GFS also way too far south with the intense band of snow.
So those are the models we looked at, and some of them were pretty close and some were a little far off, but we got a lot of snow. We got some great pictures.
A lot of snow,
and we're going to share some of those pictures with you right now. Thank you for sending these in. You can always send these photos to us. Text 501-376-1111, or we have a THV11 Weather Watchers Facebook page. Enjoy some pictures of the snow.